Good morning. I'm Sobha Bansiwal, Assistant Professor English, SPC Government College, Bhim. Today I'm going to explain the poem To a Skylark by Percy Bysshe Shelley. First, let me tell you about the introduction of the poem. To a Skylark is a lyrical poem by Shelley. It was written in the year 1820 and it published in the same year uh, along with Prometheus Unbound. This poem is a lyrical poem and uh, it expresses uh, in these poems, Sally compares the happiness of the skylark with sorrows of human life. Um, this poem is a series of comparisons, series of similes. Um, First, I read the text. Hail to thee, blithe spirit, bird thou never wert, that from heaven or near it pourest thy full heart in profuse strains of unpremeditated art. In this poem, the poet uh, welcomes the skylark and addresses it as a happy spirit. Uh, he does not consider the skylark a bird. He considers it a spirit. Here, the in this poem, the skylark uh, is a symbol of poetic spirit which sings songs unbidden and with unpremeditated art. So he addresses the poet as a spirit. The skylark rises in the uh, sky and it raises higher and higher, and from there it sings songs melodious uh, and it sings spontaneously and with unpremeditated art. uh, Higher still and higher from the earth thou springest like a cloud of fire. Here the skylark rises. The skylark starts its journey from the earth and it rises in the sky and it rises higher and higher in the sky, and while rising it appears like a cloud of fire because in the morning when the sunlight falls on it, uh, then it appears as a bright. Uh, so the poet says it says to it, cloud of fire. Just as the fire rises high upwards in the sky, in the same way the uh, skylark rises towards sky and singest still rose the blue deep thou wingest, and singing still rose sober and sobering ever singest. The skylark rises upwards in the blue sky and it keeps on singing while soaring in the sky, and it keeps on soaring while singing. On the golden lightning of the sunken sun, over which clouds are brightening, thou dost float and run, like an unbodied joy whose race is just begun. In the morning, when the rays of the sun falls on the clouds appear as bright, and the when the skylark starts its journey, it appears as if it is floating on the floating and running on the uh, cloud, which is bright because of the rays of the sun. And the skylark appears as a soul uh, whose race is just begun. When it is thought that when a person dies, uh, the soul of that person uh, comes out of its body and rises towards heaven. In the same way, here the poet says that the skylark. Uh, Here the poet says that the skylark rises towards heaven, and it appears as if it has it appears as a soul which has lived, which has left its body, and it's rising towards heaven, because the skylark is singing an ecstatic and rapturous song, and it seems very happy. uh, uh, so the poet thinks that it seems happy, because just as a soul is relieved after leaving its body, the pale purple even melts around thy flight like a star of heaven in the broad daylight. Thou art unseen, yet I hear thy shrill delight. When the skylark rises towards a sky, uh, the purple light, which is due to the rays of the sun, the skylark appears as the there is a purplish light around skylark when it rises towards the sky, and this skylark appears like a star, uh, which uh, which can't be seen in the broad daylight, but we are aware of its presence because just as we can't see the stars in the broad daylight because of the light of the sun in this, but we are aware that the stars are there in the sky. In the same way, uh, we can't we can't see the skylark in the broad daylight, because it is very high in the sky, but we are aware of its presence because of its melodious song which we hear. Keen as are the arrows of that silver sphere, whose intense lamp narrows in the white dawn clear, until we hardly see, we feel that it is there. The song of the skylark um, has been compared to arrows of the moon, just as a moon, just as the rays of the moon falls on the earth at night. In the same way, the melodious strains of the song of the skylark falls on the earth. Uh, and just as it is difficult to view the moon in the broad daylight, uh, which we hardly see, which we can't see in the broad daylight, um, and it is very difficult to see it in the twilight. In the at night, the moon fills the atmosphere with with bright light, with the bright rays of it. But in the day, uh, um, its light fades away, and it is difficult to locate the moon in the sky. In the same way, the musical strains of the skylark fills the whole atmosphere, but it is difficult to notice it in the broad daylight. but we are aware of its presence, although we can't see it in the light because it is very high in the sky, and but we are aware of its presence. So the poet compares the skylark and the moon uh, in reference to its uh, highest high position, their invisibility, and their beauty. All the earth and air with thy voice is loud, as when night is bare from one lonely cloud. The moon rains out her beams, and heaven is overflowed. In the night, the moon fills the whole earth and the sky with its uh, rays of, with the light of its rays. Uh, in the same way, the skylark fills the whole earth and the sky with its melodious sound, its musical strain. What thou art we know not, what is most like thee? From rainbow clouds there flow not drops so bright to see, as from thy presence showers a rain of melody. In this stanza, the poet feels puzzled. He doesn't know the nature of skylark. Uh, he asks himself, "What thou art we know not." He asks skylark, "What thou art we know not. What is most like thee?" From rainbow clouds there flow not drops so bright to see, as from thy presence showers a rain of melody. The poet says that the first rains of spring season, uh, the poet says that the rains which fall from the clouds are not, mm, and the drops which fall from these clouds are not as as fresh and beautiful as the song of the skylark. Uh, like a poet hidden in the light of thought, singing hymns unbidden, till the world is wrought to sympathy with hopes and fears it heeded not. In this poet, in this poem, the poet compares Skylark to to a poet who is hidden in his own thoughts. It means the poet has some lofty thoughts which are which uh, which the poet has some lofty thoughts, and it is very difficult for ordinary human beings to understand his ideas and his thoughts. Uh, this poet uh, who has some lofty thoughts is singing, is writing poems uh, spontaneously, even if the world doesn't pay attention to his poems. And he is writing uh, poems till the world begins to understand his ideas and begins to sympathize with his hopes and fears. In the same way, the skylark is singing songs unbidden, and till the world uh, be, uh, pay attention to it.